Okay, sit yourself on your lift and then come into a cross leg position. Just getting yourself ready. So I was changing the battery there. Coming to a cross leg.
Is your microphone on, Mike?
Oh no, sorry, I was just spending too long just talking there, wasn't I? And not actually setting myself up, so thank you for pointing that out. Yes, we are on now. Can you hear me better? Yeah. Just come on to your lift and then just have a little wriggle about. Just make sure that you feel even and level underneath the seat bones. Hold onto your knee. Lift up into your chest and draw your shoulders down away from your ears. Just look down at the floor, look at something that isn't moving. So take deep inhalations in through the nose, deep exhalations out through the nose. Soften your jaw and your tongue and your throat. And take big efforts to lift the chest and draw the shoulders down, just to open up your energy. Filling the lungs from the bottom to the top, emptying the lungs from the top to the bottom. Release your knees, bring your hands into Namaste. Press your palms firmly together. And then with an exhalation, allow your eyes to gently close. So when you brought your hands into Namaste, did you notice that it made you drop the chest? So can you elevate the front of the body upwards a little more? Fill the lungs from the bottom to the top. Expanding the lungs into the armpit chest, into the back chest. Aim for a non-resistant breath. Because when the breath is non-resistant, we absorb more of the energy of the breath. So lift the chest to accommodate the breath. And then draw your chin down to meet your chest. Lift the chest up to meet the chin. Just spend a moment to generate a genuine, heartfelt sense of gratitude for something or someone or somewhere. Just hold on to that feeling of abundance in the heart area, and then release the backs of your hands down towards your knees, palms facing upwards. And then as you raise your head, allow your eyes to open and the focus to softly come back. Hold on to your knees, lift and open the chest, really elevating the front chest upwards. And then turn to the right side, drawing your abdomen across, your ribs across, your shoulders across. Soften the jaw and the tongue and the throat. And then come back to the center, lift and open the chest, drive your chest upwards, take a deep inhalation in through the nose. And then turn to the left side, drawing again the abdomen across, the ribs across the shoulders. Digging the back hand into the floor or into the cushion that you're sitting on and turn. Using the out breath to intensify the turn. And then come back to the center. Just stay on your lift and then get your belt and stretch your legs out. So extend your legs away. Try to kind of edge off the lift so you're not trapping the backs of your thighs. So the backs of the thighs are free of the lift. Get the belt and then have the feet hip width apart, so just not quite together, but the hip width apart, because that will just give you a bit more space. So push your feet really firmly into the belt, pull firmly on the belt, and then just use the belt to elevate the chest upwards. So really activate the legs from the hips into the heels, extending from the hips into the heels, pressing the shins down into the floor, pressing the kneecaps through to the back of the knee, pressing the fronts of the thighs into the thigh bone, turning the fronts of the legs inwards, and then lifting the chest. And then if there's no problem with your back, then gently just walk your hands a little closer to your feet. But each time you come forwards, try not to let this happen. Try not to lose the lift of your chest. See if you can elevate the chest upwards, pressing the shins into the floor, lifting upwards into the chest. And then just keep coming forwards a little more. And each time, lift the front chest upwards, reset the legs, pressing the shins into the floor, the kneecaps into the floor, the thighs into the floor, tadasanaizing the legs by turning them inwards. If you can reach around your feet, then do. We're not going to come all the way. We're just stretching out the back. We're just activating the legs, lifting the chest. Breathing evenly and deeply, and then come back to the center, and then stay on your lift, and then bring the feet into baddha konasana. So the soles of the feet are touching. Just hold on to the shins or hold on to the big toes. But often when I'm sitting on a lift, I find that the distance between my arms and my shoulders are too short, so it kind of makes me drop here, and we want to lift here. So you either hold on to the shins, or you could slide a belt underneath your feet and hold on to that, lift up into the chest, broaden the chest, gathering the shoulder blades together. Feel that you can really lift up into the chest. Just try the belt under the feet, give yourself plenty of lift, and give yourself enough belt so that you can stretch the chest upwards, and then elevate the chest up towards the ceiling, turning the shoulder blades in towards each other, lengthening the inner knees around to the outer knees, lifting the chest up. Okay, and then just gently release, just bring the knees together, stretch the legs out in front, and then come onto your mat and just come off the lift. Just come onto all fours, have your hands as wide apart as the mat. So little fingers on the edge of the mat, stretch the thumbs towards each other, really spread the palms. Step back, turn your toes under, and then come up into dog down. So just use your pose at this stage just to assess how the body is feeling right now at this precise moment in time. So observe where there is resistance, observe where there's lightness. So activate the legs, tightening the kneecaps. Pushing the fronts of the knees through to the backs of the knees, turning the fronts of the thighs inwards from the little toe side to the big toe side. Turning the shins inwards so that the heels start to separate. Keeping on the tiptoes so you can lift the seat bones high. You can lift the tailbone up towards the ceiling so that the shoulder blade region draws in towards the front chest. Push the palms of the hands in, not just the heels of the hand, into the floor. Keep your legs where they are, keep your feet where they are, swing the hips forwards, come into Urdhva Mukha Svanasana, dog up. Keep the legs off the floor, push the heels really deeply away, and then try and draw the front chest through the arms, lifting up into the chest, broadening the collarbones. And then come back up into dog down. Just feel the broadness of the abdomen. Just listen to the sound of the breath. And one more time, swinging the hips forwards, coming up into dog up, broadening the diaphragm, broadening the collarbones, pushing into the heels, drawing the chest through the arms. And then back up into dog down. If I'm holding you too long in the posing, rest into Adho Mukha Virasana, but if you can stay and maintain, then do. Okay, step feet forwards, come up into a standing position, and then either half uttanasana, so blocks for your hands if you're protecting your back. So you just come forwards, just resting the hands on top of a lift, like the back of a chair or a table, or you can use blocks for your hands, the bricks on the floor, like this. So you just stay up on the fingertips, extending the spine upwards. Otherwise, just lift your arms up towards the ceiling so the feet are as wide apart as the mat. Toes are turned inwards, the fronts of the thighs, fronts of the knees, the fronts of the shins are turning inwards from the little toe to the big toe. Press the inner knees away from each other and lift the inner knees up towards the groin, just to even out the weight on the feet. Bring the thumb into the crease of your elbows, reach up into the elbows, and then come forwards, hinging at the hips, and then just hang down. So we're just breathing in through the nose and out through the nose. Activating the legs, lifting from the sole of the foot up into the shin, lifting the shins out of the ankle socket, lifting the kneecaps away from the shins, lifting the thighs away from the kneecaps, all the way up into the hip socket. Let the top of the body extend forwards and hang down. And then release your hands down onto the floor. Bring your hands into your hips and then bend your knees on the way up if you need to, and then come up into Tadasana. Just have your feet together, inner edge of the feet touching, and then spread your toes. Lift your chest, drive the chest upwards. Stretch your arms down. Just breathe evenly and deeply, listening to the sound of the breath. Stretch your arms out in front, interlock your fingers, turn the palms all the way out. Don't worry about cracks and pops, that's good. And then raise your arms over your head. Squeeze in the outer elbows in, lengthening the palms of the hands up towards the ceiling, but keeping foot minded, lifting out of the feet into the hips, into the torso, into the armpits, into the arms. Just bring the hands forward, just swap the interlock of your fingers, turn the palms all the way out, and again raise your head. Just breathe in deeply, just listening to the sound of the breath. And then release your arms, stretch your arms down and really purposefully extend your arms down to the floor, lifting the chest at the same time. Bring your arms out nice and wide in towards your chest, and then step or jump the feet apart. Turn your left toes in, your right leg and foot all the way out, facing the front, and then stretch over into trikonasana. But as you come over, do you notice that it becomes front leg centric, or can you consciously push from this outer heel of the left hip, outer hip of the left side, down into the outer heel, from the heel into the hip, from the hip into the heel, turning the chest, and then reaching up. Breathe in evenly, deeply, feeling that the feet connect really deeply with the floor, and then you can lift your energy out of your feet up into the hips, working both legs evenly, from the hips up into the chest, from the chest out into the arms, into the neck. Reach up with the top hand, come back to the center, bring the feet, turn the right toes in, the left leg and foot all the way out, and then extend over to the right. Just looking down, can you see the foot? Is your head hovering over the foot, or is it kind of into the middle of the room a little? So lift the chest so that the head comes back. Squeeze that front leg buttock bone forwards. hit the back leg towards the back of the room. Feel the feet connect to the floor, lift out of the feet up into the hips. From the hips up into the chest, from the chest into the arms and into the neck. And then reach up, come back to the center, bring the feet parallel, and then step or jump your feet back together. Just breathing evenly and deeply, spreading the toes, lifting up into the chest. So spread your toes of your left leg, spread in the toes, lift your shorts up if you can a little, and then bring the right foot as high up into the left leg as you can. Keep that left leg really firmly in Tadasana. So the foot presses, the standing foot presses into the floor and then lifts up into the shin, up into the kneecap, up into the thigh. Push the thigh into the foot, push the foot into the thigh, lift up into the chest, and then extend your arms up in virasana. Just breathing evenly and deeply, feeling that the direction of the pose is up. And then release your arms, release your leg, and then just stand back in Tadasana. And just be in Tadasana. So if you can lift the shorts up a little, then do that. So the skin on skin works better. It holds better. So spread the toes of that right foot really deeply. Activate both legs in Tadasana. So you're turning the thigh inwards, you're lifting from the knee all the way up into the thigh. The thigh is firm. Maintain that as you lift the left knee and bring the foot up into the thigh. So there's firmness there right from the start. So you can use something to help you to balance if you need to. I've got plenty of things around me here. So find your balance. Lift up into the chest. And then raise your arms up. Virasana arms, palms facing each other. Okay, release your arms, release the leg, and then just come back to the center, just come back into Tadasana, lifting up into the chest. Bring your feet hip width apart, turn your toes in, and then raise your arms. Again, you can do half Uttanasana if you're avoiding full Uttanasana, and then just hang down. So again, activating the legs, lifting the feet into the shins, into the knees, into the thighs, into the hips. Turning the fronts of the legs inwards. Just allowing the body to hang down. Okay, release your hands down to the floor, and then keep your feet on the floor, and then walk your hands towards the end of the mat. Bend your knees if you need to, Have your hands shoulder width apart. Have the feet hip width apart. And then extend in dog down, Adho Mukha Svanasana. Observe if there's any difference in how the feeling poses now after the previous poses, if there's any deeper sense of lightness, if there's a greater connection between the physical body and the mental body. Whether the breath is feeding the physical body. And then come down onto your knees. Have the big toes touching, have the knees apart. Just sit back on your heels. Lift up into the chest. And then keeping the seat bones down on the heels, come forwards into Adho Mukha virasana. Pushing the palms of the hands into the floor, lengthening the arms away. Extending deeply into the arms. Pushing the forehead firmly into the floor, just to quieten the brain. You can press the forehead into the floor and lengthen the skin down towards the face. And then release your arms and then come up into just virasana, just sitting back on your heels. Just feel that quietness of coming out of a forward bend. Just feeling the legs sandwiching together. Just feeling that lightness of energy from the extension so far. Draw your chin down to meet your chest. Lift your chest up to meet your chin, drawing your shoulders down away from your ears, just having your hands on your thighs. And then lengthen the chin up to the ceiling. Then chin to the chest. Then chin to the ceiling. And then bring the head level. Bring the right ear down towards the right shoulder, lengthening out the left side of the neck. And then come back to the center, draw the left ear down towards the left shoulder, lengthening out the right side of the neck. So you should feel the stretch all the way down into the arm. And then come back to the center just one more time, stretching from the left ear, right ear down to the right shoulder. Just feeling that stretch on the left side of the neck, lengthening the shoulder down to increase it. And then come back to the center, and then just last time, left ear to left shoulder. and then just come back to the center. Stretch your arms out in front, interlock your fingers, turn your palms all the way up, and then just raise your arms up. Feeling the shins making good contact with the floor. Feeling the seat bones making contact with the heels, and then lift from the hips up into the armpits, into the elbows, squeezing the elbows together, lengthening up into the palms. So again, there's a feeling that the direction of the pose is upwards, is up from the floor to the tips of the fingers. Just release the hands, release the interlock of the fingers, do the unnatural interlock. Bring the arms forwards and then raise your arms up. And then gently release, just stay sitting on your heels for a little longer. Lift up into the chest, drawing the shoulders down away from your ears. And then come back onto all fours. Bring the hands shoulder width apart again, and then turn your toes under. They'll be a little reluctant because we've been sitting on our heels for a while. And then just come back up into dog down. Is there any difference in the shoulders? Just gently straighten the legs. Working the kneecaps into the sockets. Hitting the fronts of the thighs through to the backs of the thighs. The fronts of the knees through to the backs of the knees. The fronts of the shins through to the backs of the calves. Just let your head hang down. Just breathe evenly. So from here, we're going to go into rajakapotasana. So if you need to, rather than coming into it from dog down, come down onto your knees and just follow the rest of the instructions, bringing the right knee to the right wrist. Otherwise, just have the feet actively pressing into the floor in dog down, then bend the knees, and then bend the right knee and bring the right knee forwards so it makes contact with the right wrist. So the right foot sits underneath the left hip, and then just stretch that left leg away. Come up onto the fingertips, extend into that leg, tadasanaise that leg. So the front of the thigh turns in, the back of the thigh turns out, and then lift up into the chest. Breathing evenly. And then just come down onto your elbows. Just have a little wriggle about in the hips. And then bring one fist on top of the other, and then rest your head down onto the fists. So a little yin version of the pose. So just let go of the extensions. Just allow gravity to draw you into the floor. But be conscious of the lightness on the inside from the deep extension of the poses. So stay connected to that feeling of physical lightness in the limbs. Okay, and then just raise your head. Bring your hands back down onto the floor, come up onto the fingertips, just a good extension, extending into that back leg, lifting the front chest up towards the ceiling. Just observing the changes in the hips. Bring the palms of the hands down onto the floor, turn your toes under, and then just step yourself back up into dog down. Or just step back into a kneeling position and then come back up into dog down. Just feel the difference of the two legs. So try and activate both legs evenly. And then bend both knees. Bring the left knee to make contact with the left wrist, with the left foot underneath the right hip, and then come up onto the fingertips, extending deeply into that right leg, tadasanarizing that right leg, turning the front of the thigh in, back of the thigh out, so that the hips come level, and then lift up into the chest. And then come down onto the elbow. Just have a little wriggle in the hips, just to really open up the tension in the hips. And then create two fists for the hands, one on top of the other, but this time have the opposite fist on the top that we had last time. And then rest down into the floor. Just let go of the extension and let gravity become the force of the pose. So let go of the intention to extend and feel gravity drawing you down into the floor. Okay, lift your head, then just come back up into the first stage, extending into the leg, lifting up into the chest, just drawing from passivity into activity. And then bring the palms of the hands down, turn your toes under that back foot, walk in a little, and then just step yourself back into dog down. Just let the head hang down, extend out of the last pose. Feel the effects of the last pose on the body and lift out of them. Okay, sit back on your hips, come down onto your knees, just sit back on your heels for a moment. Just lift and open the chest. And then come down into supta baddha konasana. So just laying yourself down onto the floor, push the heels consciously together. You can support your thighs with blocks if you need them. So just blocks underneath your thighs like this if you need it. Otherwise, just lay down onto the floor, push the heels together firmly. Lengthen your arms up towards the ceiling, interlock the fingers, turn the palms all the way out, and then extend your arms along the floor. If there's any stiffness in your shoulders, then have some blocks or some folded blankets underneath your hands to support the shoulders. Otherwise, just use the floor. Keeping the feet consciously together. Pushing the heels together, pushing the outer edge of the feet together, pushing the big toes together so that the legs become active rather than passive. Lengthening from the inner heel into the inner thigh, into the inner groin. So from the inner heel, lengthen along the inner calf muscle to the inner knee. And from the inner knee to the outer knee. And from the outer knee along the outer thigh up into the hip. And from the hip towards the front of the groin. And then from the inner groin along the inner thigh to the inner knee. From the inner knee around to the outer knee, and then down along the outer calf into the outer heels. And then just continue that figure of 8 of extension. Soften the abdomen into the spine, broaden the abdomen into the abdominal walls. Breathe evenly, deeply listening to the sounds of the breath. Just release your arms, swap the interlock of your fingers, and then again extend your arms along the floor. So just connecting physical activity with the breath and the observation. Keep observing inside the body. Keep your observation within. And then release your arms, just rest your hands on your lower ribs, just let the body relax into the floor for a moment, let go of the legs. And then just gently draw your knees together, have your knees together and your feet apart. Just breathe in, and the hips will cover. And then draw your knees in towards your chest. Just have a little rock from top to bottom, from side to side, just a gentle massage on the spine. And then rock yourself up into a seated position. Just come into cross legs. Hold onto your knees, lift up into the chest. Take a deep inhalation. And then with an exhalation, turn all the way around to the right side, drawing your abdomen across, your ribs across, your shoulders across, keeping the neck soft. And then come back to the center, hold onto your knees, lift and open the chest, and then turn to the left. And then come back to the center. Just come down onto your back. We're going to go into setubandha. So come down onto your back, have the feet close to the seat bones, let your head come down, get your block, and then lift the seat bones up. But you get stuck a little bit unless you adjust the shoulders and come right up onto the tops of the shoulders. Draw the brick into the sacrum area of your back. Hold on to the edges of the mat. So you can do viparita karani if you're not going to do this, or go back into supta baddha konasana. And then just stretch one leg out. Just see how that feels for you this morning. Bring it back, stretch the other leg out. See how that feels for your back this morning. If it feels okay, then extend both of your legs away. Holding onto the sides of the mat, staying right up on the tops of the shoulders. Tadasana, rise the legs, turn the thighs inwards. The fronts of the thighs inwards. So the big toes aren't kind of rolling out, they're pointing directly up to 12 o'clock. Extending deeply into the heels. From the shoulders into the hips, from the hips into the heels. Maintaining a lift of the front chest. So you come into a Jalandhara bandha type grip in the neck. So the chin is connected to the chest. So breathe evenly into the legs and into the arms and into the torso. Okay, and then just bend your knees, bring the feet back to the close to the brick, and then lift the seat bones. Even if you have to come up onto your tiptoes to kind of get the leverage, just lift up and then move the brick out of the way, adjust your shoulders on the way down, and then just draw your lower back down onto the floor. Hold onto your knees, just have a little rock from side to side, just easing out any tension on your back. And then just roll onto your side, come up into a seated position, and then just prepare yourself for shavasana. So just get a folded blanket for underneath your head. Make sure that it feels evenly folded, and then just lay yourself right down the center of your mat. Make sure you're in a good straight line, because it will help you to relax. If you're in a straight line, you'll feel like you need to fidget if you're not. So make sure you're in a good straight line. Let the arms come out to the sides of the body a little. Just move any equipment out of the way that's in the way. And then just gently Close your eyes and release the physical body. Let go of the physical body, unhooking the muscles of the arms and the legs. Allowing the physical body to completely release and to become heavy. Entirely supported by the floor. Just release the arms into the floor, the shoulders, neck, head, torso and the legs. And then just observe that as you let go of the physical body, the lightness that you've created through your extensions starts to fill the uppermost facing skin. So from heaviness comes lightness. Use your in-breath and your out-breath to distribute that feeling of lightness evenly down into the tips of the toes, into the tips of the fingers, into the top of the head. And then just gently wiggle your toes, wiggle your fingers. Just bringing the physical body back into the pose, and then draw your knees in towards your chest. Just have a little rock from side to side, from top to bottom, just a gentle massage on the spine. And then gently roll over onto your right side. Stretch out your top leg, come back up into a seated position, just a final cross legs with your hands in the masti, just a final spinal lift. Lifting the chest up into the ceiling, drawing the breath down into the abdomen. Be conscious of the energy that you have released through your practice, the good clean energy from the extensions and the forward bends and the twists and the inversions. And then gently draw your chin down to meet your chest. Just spend a moment to seek to acknowledge the positive energy you've created inside. And then radiate some of that positive energy out into the world. And then release the backs of your hands down toward your knees, palms facing upwards. And as you raise your head, allow your eyes to softly open. The focus to softly come back. Thank you very much. Thank you. So hopefully you feel as though you have lifted your energy, giving yourself a good old stretch, and you've got lots of good energy to put into the rest of your day. So thank you very much for joining me.